Hello. How's it going today, everybody? So, I don't know if anyone's gonna have a chance to jump on today, but I'm excited to be bringing you a topic today that is kind of new to me. It's something I've struggled with for a while, and something that I feel is really important now that I've kind of experienced it a little bit. It's been something that has helped me a lot, and it's helping me to make changes in my life that I really struggled to make before, and that topic is self-care. I think part of the reason that I have struggled in this area is because I am a Christian, and when you are a Christian, you learn that it's good to be selfless and to make sacrifices for the people you love and things like that. So I think sometimes we can get kind of confused and not take good care of ourselves because we're busy taking care of other people. And I think just as a woman, and if you're a mother, that's a natural thing too, that we tend to make sure everyone else's needs in our house are met before we even start to think about our own needs. And I have an autistic son, so he requires a lot of care and needs, and I feel like what happened to me was that I started to really suffer because I was not taking good care of myself, and I was putting myself last on the list of people to care for. And like I said, a lot of times we confuse this with being selfish. Taking care of ourselves and self-care is not the same as being selfish. And we resist it. We resist doing self-care, and I'm going to explain some ways to do self-care in a little bit, but I just want to talk about what kind of stumbles us from doing self-care in the first place, because this is an area that I've struggled with. So there's this airplane analogy, right, that people use, where it's, you know, if you're on an airplane and something happens where the oxygen masks fall down, the pilot's going to tell you, or the stewardess is going to tell you, to put that mask on yourself first so that you're breathing. Hi, Grace. And then you'll be able to help other people to get masks on. And I think, like I said, sometimes as a Christian, we have this tendency to be like, well, I just should keep doing and doing and doing, and the Lord will provide my strength, which He does. And in certain seasons, I feel like He may really be calling us to just lean on that. But I think in other seasons, He's called us to be good stewards of our body and our mind and our soul, and good stewards of creation. And guess what? We're part of creation, right? So sometimes it's good to take care of yourself and do little things to take care of yourself, because then, like the airplane analogy, if you're not breathing, if you don't have oxygen, you can't help someone else put on a mask, right? So if you put the mask on yourself, then maybe you can help 10 other people or some children or whatever to get their mask on. So that's an analogy that's often used when talking about self-care. And I think when we don't practice self-care, which is something that I said I have struggled with, you start to have this feeling of being empty or feeling burnt out, frayed. I don't know how else to say it. Frayed is a good one, because it's like any additional stress that's put on you is going to make you blow your top, right? You just don't have anything left in you to give. Exhaustion is another word. If you feel like you're saying, oh, I'm exhausted all the time. If you have mental fog, all of these things I feel like are a kind of warning sign that maybe it's time to start including self-care into your routine. I think a lot of times, like I said, especially being a Christian, we want to do for others and not think of ourselves, right? Think of ourselves last. And what I'm starting to realize, and what I feel like the Lord has been showing me, is that's a sign of pride, that I don't need to take care of myself. I've come to a point where I feel like it's okay to admit this weakness in myself. And it's good. Like, God wants to bring us to the point where we're like, okay, Lord, I am weak and I need to take care of myself, or I need help in this area. And I really think it's a good thing to pray through, because there's another extreme. There's the other extreme side that you are getting selfish, and that, you know, you're only putting yourself first, right? And the key here is a healthy balance. And I think the way to find that is through prayer, to pray through, what kind of balance do I need to find in this so that I can be taking good care of myself, and that you're filled up and feel good, so that therefore you can take better care of others in your life, right? I want to be a good mother and a good wife, and in order to do that, I need to not be feeling exhaustion and mental fatigue and feeling empty and burnt out, right? So self-care is one of those ways that you can start to kind of make sure that you are getting what you need, so you're being a good steward of your body and your spirit and your mind and the things that God's given you, so you can be, you know, at your best to affect the other people in your life, right? I hope I'm explaining that good. And like I said, I think pride comes in a lot of times when we feel like we are not going to take and do things for ourselves, because either, you know, like I said, we may have that thing like, oh, I'm not supposed to do things for myself. I'm a Christian. I'm supposed to, you know, always be thinking about others and sacrifice and put myself last. But I think that there's a level of pride in that, like saying, you know, hey, I'm human and I will burn out, and I need stuff. I need stuff, right? Okay. I need to take care of myself. So anyway, self-care is basically, what I have learned about it is it's doing little things in your life to make sure that you are filled up. And for me, starting off, obviously being a Christian, being spiritually filled is the best way to be filled, right? So reading the word, praying, those kind of things for me are always a good thing. But even when you are doing those, your body still needs self-care and your mind still needs self-care. And those, you know, are all parts of who we are. And sometimes we neglect other areas. Self-care is very individualized. So I'm going to share some things that I do. But it's different for every person and what they need. But basically, it's making a habit into your life of doing some things that make you feel good, feel nurtured, feel loved, and that you prioritize those. So a lot of times we get so busy in our lives that we kind of feel like, well, I don't have time to do the things that I'm going to suggest that you start putting in your life. But I'm telling you that if you just take, you know, 5 or 10 minutes a day and start to implement some different things that are good for you, that you're going to have more energy and you're going to feel better and you're going to be able to do more. That's been my experience. So I'm going to share some things. And like I said, this looks different for everybody. But I'm just going to share some things that I have been doing and adding into my routine, just to make sure that I'm getting a little bit of self-care. The first one is really simple. It's just deep breathing. I feel like sometimes with the amount of stress that we are dealing with, we're not breathing right. We're not getting oxygen into our bodies. And so sometimes just taking 5 minutes in the morning and breathing in like 7 to the count of 7 and then breathing out to the count of 7 and doing that like 10 times. It takes probably, you know, maybe a minute or two, and you can noticeably feel different from it. Another one is stretching. This is so funny because I sometimes get tension headaches, and one of the things I've been trying to do is like look on YouTube or do some research on what I can do for self-care. And so I had a tension headache and I was like, okay, what's a natural thing I can do? So I searched on YouTube or on the web, and it came up doing some stretches, and they were just simple neck stretches, like going like this and holding your head and then going like this. And you know, it took me like 5 minutes to do it and to follow this woman who was showing these simple stretches, and I think she was a chiropractor or something. And my tension headache went away. And normally I would say, I don't have time for that, this 7 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever it took. And I would get up and I would suffer with that tension headache for most of the morning. You know, maybe I would breathe in a couple oils or something like that. But it was just so crazy that just doing this little bit of stretching had such a big effect on my life. And that day, my day was so much better once that tension headache was gone. So stretching is something that, you know, even if you only take a minute or two and you do a couple stretches, it's something that you can do to take care of yourself. Another thing I love, and I know not everybody loves baths, but I swear you should try and fit at least one bath in a week. And I like to take Epsom salts. You can buy a bag of Epsom salts for like $2 or $3. I have my little jar. I fill it up, and then I add probably 5 to 10 drops of a relaxing oil like Stress Away or lavender or something like that, and stir it up. And then I just add 2 or 3 spoonfuls of this to my bath. Epsom salts are magnesium sulfate. That's also really, really good for you. It's a really calming mineral, and it is absorbed really good through your skin. So Epsom salt baths are something that I really think everyone should make a habit of doing. They're very good for you and very detoxifying. And taking a bath is like a nice time to just relax and, you know, think through things and just reflect. So baths are great. I have this awesome massage tool. Kind of looks funny. I'm going to show you guys though. It's like a little, I think it's called like an S-cane or something. I get a lot of tension headaches, and I have found that this is something that I can use. It kind of hooks around your back, and you can kind of get into the knots in your shoulders. Some people for self-care would go for a massage on a monthly basis. That's not in my budget right now. If you can do that, that's amazing. That's something great. But for me, this is what I use. And it takes 5 or 10 minutes. I kind of put on some calming music, and I'll sit there and work on the knots in my neck and shoulder. And it makes such a difference in how I feel. And like I said, we can fill up our days with so much busyness. And these things only take, you know, 5 minutes, and they make a big impact on how you're feeling and what you're doing. Other things are walking outside. I find that if I walk in the woods, I definitely have more of a peaceful, relaxing feeling than if I just go for a walk around my block. I think being out around trees and plants and getting all that oxygen in is really, really good for us. And so that's one thing for me. If I can be by water, it's even better because you hear the water trickling, and it's just like, you know, God's natural music that's soothing to our soul. Reading a book. That's something for some people. I love reading a book. You know, even outside, going and reading a book in a hammock, taking 10 minutes to read a book. Like I said, some people, pedicures, manicures, things like that, they really help. Fellowship, getting together in fellowship. Some people that's really great, and it's it depends on if you're introverted or extroverted. If you're introverted, being around people might be more stressful for you, and if you're extroverted, being around people like really fills you up. So sometimes people for fellowship is something. Journaling, some people love to journal, or just like to journal to get things out, and that's a great way to release things, and just thoughts and feelings and emotions that maybe we carry around. Dancing, I know I love dancing. I feel like it's fun, and it can really release a lot of tension. And then one thing that I've been doing lately is called bilateral music. I don't fully understand the science behind it, but it's basically music. You put headphones on, and different beats are going and different tones are going in each ear, and it really has like a calming and healing effect. And there's some science on that, and definitely look up bilateral music and check it out. But there's a Christian place that does them, and there's one called Whole Tones. That's the name of the company. It's called Whole Tones. and I highly recommend them. But there's some on YouTube, and there's great ones for sleep, for migraines, for depression, for all kinds of things. And it's just different ways that they're stimulating your brain. And I found those to be really helpful and relaxing. So those are just some things that I've been doing for self-care. And I'm not doing all of those in one day. I'm probably doing one each day, I would think. And like I said, I'm just fitting in 5 to 10 minutes. And this will look different for every person because different things are going to make you feel better than me, right? But the whole point is that you need to start doing stuff to make sure that you're not getting to a place where you're feeling exhaustion, mental fog, feeling empty, feeling drained. And when you are feeling better, man, like I feel like I want to do more for other people. Like I actually have a joy when I'm working with other people or when I'm doing something special for my husband or my son. And instead of when somebody asks you something and you're like, oh my goodness, I don't want to do that. You know, you kind of have like a, oh yeah, I do. I have energy to do that. I want to do that. So it's kind of that, that place where you're just making sure to take good care of yourself. And like I said, we're not talking about being selfish and not doing anything for anyone else. We're just talking that you make sure that you do take care of yourself. I think sometimes we do better for others than we do for ourselves. Some people might be on the other extreme of this where they, you know, do more for themselves and they don't do a lot for others. So, you know, you need to pray through and find the balance for that. I did want to talk a little bit about just supporting your adrenals. Stress is one of those things that really can mess up our hormones. And you may not feel like you have a lot of stress in your life, but in reality, like our society is very high stress. Most people are living with a lot of stress, and that's not even adding in extra things that you may be going through, life situations, you know, children, different things like that. Just regular everyday life in this day and age can be stressful. And not only that, but our diets can be really stressful on our body. The standard American diet or the SAD diet, which is what most people eat. I know I have ate that before, and I usually feel like not very good, but it actually stresses our body because of the way that it affects our hormones. And our hormones are kind of the thing that is like a stress regulator and kind of everything that helps our bodies to work properly. And so our adrenals are one of those organs, and if you are dealing with a lot of stress, your adrenals are pumping out cortisol, your insulin levels are probably all over the place, and all this leads to you not feeling very good at all. And so I wanted to recommend some Young Living supplements that I have found that are great for supporting your adrenals, supporting your hormones, and kind of bringing back balance to your body because that's really important. One of them is Super C. Vitamin C is super important for your adrenals. Your adrenals use vitamin C, and if your adrenals are pumping out cortisol all the time, which most of us have that happening, you can be really deficient on vitamin C. So vitamin C is a great supplement to just make sure you are getting. And Super C is awesome because it also has zinc and magnesium and potassium, which is all great for like electrolytes and keeping your body in good balance. So that's one that I found for me. That's really good. Super B is really good. B vitamins are amazing for helping our bodies with stress. And this one has a combination of B12, B6, niacin, riboflavin. It has all different stuff. Plus it has magnesium, zinc. So a good B vitamin is really important when you're talking about dealing with stress and your adrenals, which is usually what is going on. Next is Cortistop. I don't have that bottle right now, but Cortistop is actually a supplement that is to help balance your cortisol levels. And when you're really stressed, cortisol is the one that's pumping out of your adrenals. It's, if I'm understanding right, which don't quote me, but it's like the fight or flight hormone, and we're only supposed to be using that like occasionally, like say in the old times when, you know, maybe a lion was chasing you or something. So your body would pump out that adrenaline and cortisol and all that stuff so that you could deal with that stress and have the strength and power to deal with it. And then it would go back to like a normal amount. And our diets and the amount of stress that people are usually under in this day and age, and that we create in our own lives from being so busy and everything, our cortisol is just, we're constantly using that fight or flight, and we shouldn't be. Our bodies don't like that at all. So Cortistop is an amazing supplement that just kind of helps keep that cortisol level in check. And I know for me, when I've been dealing with times of a lot of stress and anxiety and things like that, or just anxious feelings, I should say, that Cortistop has been a really great one for me to just kind of feel more balanced and more calm. Powergize, I really like. It has ashwagandha in it and a couple other herbs that are really great. They're adaptogens, and those are also great for supporting our adrenals. This also has more vitamin B and magnesium and zinc, which are all great for our bodies. You'll find that magnesium is a great one that you see a lot in, and it's very calming. But this is a great one. Just gives you a little boost of energy. And I know, Erica, you're the one who told me about this one. It's so great. I really love Powergize. And like I said, it has that ashwagandha, which if you're ever wanting to research adrenals or adrenal fatigue, that one comes up a lot. Astro is another one that I really like because it is, it's a tincture that helps maintain and support normal glandular function. And when we're talking about, you know, our stress levels and our energy levels and that feeling of exhaustion and brain fog and all those things, that all has to do with our hormones and getting our hormones in a right place. And that, first and foremost, I think might come from diet, but secondly, you can do things with supplements, and I think Astro is a good one for that. And then Life 9 is the last one I'm going to talk about just for our dealing with stress and being able to take good care of ourselves with self-care. Life 9 is a probiotic, and our gut is one of the most important areas in our body that we really need to take good care of. And unfortunately, the standard American diet is not good for our gut, and stress and other things are not. And so making sure that we are taking probiotics and getting those good bacteria in our gut is so important. I think they say like 80%, or maybe I might not have the right percentage, of our immune system comes from our gut. And so if you're feeling run down all the time, you might need to start supporting your gut. So Life 9. And then oils. I feel like oils are so critical in self-care. I mean, just even taking the time to put some oils in a diffuser, or putting a couple drops in your hand and taking those 7 deep breaths in and 7 deep breaths out, using them when you're stretching, or the things that I was recommending before in your bath. All of those things are really great. They're moments that you're taking to like slow down and breathe. And then the oils also affect our bodies. They affect our hormones in our blood, and they do good things. So the ones that I love to recommend for self-care, one of my favorite is Vetiver. Vetiver is a natural, oh my goodness, my brain is farting out here. A natural sedative, thank you. And so it's very calming and soothing. It's great for sleep. It's great for focus. And it's just great for calming. And I don't know, with me, with my autistic son, there are times that, I mean, my stress and the level of kind of craziness that I'm dealing with his meltdowns or whatever are pretty extreme. And Vetiver is one that I really turn to a lot to just like help me simmer down and help me be patient and move forward. Frankincense is another great one. Frankincense brings oxygen into our body, and it's just so amazing for mood support and good for all things brain. So frankincense is another one. Lavender, of course, we know lavender is calming and soothing, and so lavender is always a go-to. Stress Away, when I first got my kit, was one of my ultimate favorite oils. I used it every day, multiple times a day. I don't have to use it as much now, which is a blessing, and to me it shows me how well the oils work, because eventually I felt like it wasn't a necessity for me to be using that oil all the time. But it is a great one. And then cedarwood is another great one that I really highly recommend. It's just got a lot of good stuff in it, and it helps your body produce its natural melatonin. So at night, it's a really good one to use. Good sleep is obviously key in a lot of areas of self-care. So those are the oils, and there's plenty more. I mean, we know there's so many oils Young Living has, so that is also individualized. But I just wanted to touch on some of the products that Young Living has that have helped me support my adrenals and my hormones and the things that I think can get off balance and kind of contribute to that feeling of exhaustion and mental fog and those kind of things. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about with self-care. I really think it's important just to take a little time and think about and pray through how this might look for you, and start to implement a few of these things, or a few things that come to your mind that you know would just help you have more energy, help you feel cared for and loved and strengthened, so that you can go about your day and do well by others, right? When you feel full, then you have stuff to give to others. And if you kind of jumped in at the end, I encourage you to go back and watch the beginning. And I'll keep you updated on my own self-care journey, but these are things that I've just started doing in the last month or two. And like I said in the beginning, I always felt like it was maybe selfish, but I can tell you that the way that I've been feeling and the positive changes that it's brought about in my life is actually making my life more fulfilled, and I'm able to give more to other people. So it's kind of interesting how it has kind of, you're worried about being selfish by taking better care of yourself, and it ends up having the opposite effect where you really feel like you have more energy to help others. So anyway, thanks for joining me. I love you guys, and have a great day, and start to implement some self-care, and then tell me how it works for you.